Welcome back to Play on Footy. Today we're going to be looking at the Carlton Blues. They finished up last season, of course, playing against the Brisbane Lions in that elimination final at the Gabba, where they were 9 goals down at halftime. And it pretty much summed up their whole season. Even though they made finals, they definitely had a couple of games that they threw away, and one comes to mind against Adelaide Crows at Marvel Stadium, where Adelaide just came back, and I think it was Matthew Owies who just missed a kick from probably 20 metres, 15 metres inside 50 on the run, kicked it behind, and then Adelaide went end to end, and I kicked a goal, and I think it was Tex potentially or someone, I can't remember, but it was just it basically summarised Carlton's sort of year. They had chances, they let them slip. They had a couple of players that unfortunately were out of the game. But overall, when you look at their list and you consolidate what they have and obviously what's happened this pre-season with their CEO, with the texting scandal, and then also Nick Newman with his knee injury, and also another knee scare with Charlie Curnow just recently, as well as Sam Walsh again with his back, having interrupted pre-season. And then they signed Adam Chera on a 5-year deal, even though he has been plagued with injuries and really hasn't lived up to any expectation. It just really makes you wonder where this club is heading. And, this is not a critical piece on Carlton. This is just a realistic piece of where they are, where they're going to go, where I think they're going to end up at the end of this season, 2025. But if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this video. We do have a lot of content coming out, obviously with the start of this week being practice matches for many AFL teams. Also got the Indigenous All-Star game with against Fremantle at Optus Stadium here in Perth. And then also, just a lot of AFL fantasy content that I'm planning as well as just AFL news and general predictions, previews, etc. Definitely stay tuned for that, guys, and hit and smash the subscribe button for that. But let's jump into the video. The first guy that I can see on the top left in my corner of the screen is Jack Silvani. Now, we didn't see this guy because he had that knee injury. Again, will this be the last season for him to try and push his case? We don't know. I don't want to speculate, but there are a lot of players in Carlton's list currently, or on Carlton's list currently, that is basically just sort of neither here nor there. And another one of those players was Jesse Motlop. He had an okay season as well last year, but he definitely didn't, I guess, go above and beyond what some people expected. This year, a lot of the weight of Nick Newman's injury is falling on this man's shoulders, Oliver Hollands. But a part of me does think he can definitely step up to that role. I think it was about time that Ollie had a bit more responsibility. And that only comes with more game time. That only comes with, I guess, progression. And, sometimes with other people's misfortunes comes another person's opportunity. And I think with Oliver Hollands, this one will pay off for Vossi. I just have a feeling. I could be wrong, could be right. Who knows? But I definitely got a good feeling about Ollie Hollands running off that half back and doing some serious damage. Adam Chera, as I noted at the start of this sort of video, he's signed a 5-year deal. He does have injury concerns over the past. He went to Doha or Abu Dhabi or something like that to get his body sort of fixed up. But, he's just one of those players that a lot of people are actually selecting the AFL fantasy team at the moment. And I think it comes down to, his price point. I think it comes down to, potentially he could be plugging some holes that, are left from, potentially Doherty having injuries, because he's getting to the end of his career as well. Look, I wouldn't be picking Chera, only because of his past histories. And I'm not confident in him to really give a positive return. I think he's sort of in that 70s already. I think that's the best he's going to be, to be honest. So I'd rather be picking up someone like a Clayton Oliver who, has burnt a lot of people, especially last year with his performance and his, his troubles off field. But, I'd rather pick an Oliver over a Chera any day of the week. Zach Williams was one of those players that some people added in their fantasy last year, but some people didn't. Zach Williams is definitely going to have an interesting year this year. I think it just really depends on where Vossi puts him. Does he put him half forward? Does he put him half back with Ollie Hollands? I know Sard's got the other half back role. So potentially Zach Williams becomes a bit of a swingman type operator. whereas Ollie Hollands could potentially just be all half back and that's all he does, which, I don't mind that sort of move, but we'll have to wait and see. Jacob Smith, obviously, has been training the house down. A lot of great reports coming out of the Blues HQ in regards to Jacob Smith. I don't think it's actually a bad thing that he's sort of come into a team where, a lot of people thought, it's going to be hard for him to break into the team. But I think that he represents so much upside, so much talent and a breath of fresh air. I think he really could be challenging Shearer. I think Blake Acres is a lot more sort of stable than Shearer at this stage, and they both came from Fremantle. What a coincidence. But, I think that's one definitely to watch there. Obviously, Paddy Cripps, he won the 2024 AFL Brownlow. A lot of people, think Dacos was robbed, but we won't get into that in this video. But overall, I think Patrick Cripps, he definitely has the weight of this team on his shoulders, and I think having fallen so, failing so dismally in the elimination final against Brisbane, who ultimately went on to win the AFL Premiership, it was just a really sad thing to see for the Blues. A lot of people are anti-Blues, and some people anti-Magpies. But for me, I just wanted this team to do, sort of well. And, they do have some good players in here. And I think from Vossi's point of view, obviously with Nick Newman going down is not a great start to the season by any means. But Newman is 32. It's not like he's a young, upcoming half-backer, So that it was probably forcing Vossi's hand to play that Plan B game. And I think Paddy Cripps knows that as well, being the captain. So I think he will definitely be leading this team. He will definitely be leading by example, as he normally does anyway. But it's going to be really interesting to see come season opener, I suppose. Harry Mackay, he had a couple of concussions last year, which were a little scary and innocuous knee knocks, but he definitely hit the scoreboard. I think he'll be looking to do the same again. I think a lot of people back this guy, and I don't think there's any qualms or any concerns around Harry coming into season 2025. I think my only concern is, consistency for him. He hasn't been his strongest point over his career, but I think 2025 will definitely prove to be, I think, one of those, years where Harry can really cement his spot as one of those top in-form spearheads. And, watch this space. Mitch McGovern, I don't really need to say much about Mitch McGovern. He's just, one of those stable, consistent type operators. Probably needs to work with his set shot at goal, i.e. that game against Collingwood last year. But overall, I think, you can't go wrong with Mitch. He fronts up every week and gives his 100%. Tom De Koning, he's been in a lot of AFL fantasy coaches' starting ruck, or R2 position at least, if not R1. Price at 900k, I think he definitely has a lot of upside. And depending on where Mark Pittonet sort of lands, I don't think he's going to be really one of those, I guess, when you look at like dual ruck positions, say like a Sean Darcy and a Luke Jackson, they are really sharing the ruck, whereas I think TDK is going to have a lot more game time in the centre square than Mark Pittonet. And again, it will just come down to Vossi saying, well, do we really need a second tall? Can we get Harry Mackay to, ruck one half of the ground and TDK does more the defensive half? And a lot of teams in the past have done that, even Eagles to a lesser extent back in, I'm talking early 2000s, and when they had, Hunter and all that sort of stuff, they would use him sometimes in the ruck. So, I think, Tom De Koning would be a pick for me for the ruck. And I have been flirting with Sweet, but I think overall TDK definitely represents great value. Blake Acres, as I was saying earlier with Adam Chera, he's one of the most reliable type operators. He just gets in there, he gets the ball, he gets it on the boot and he moves the ball forward. He's a proactive, recipient of the footy when he has it in his hands, and then he disposes of it effectively pretty well. Razio Fantasia, I don't really know where he sits in his team, unfortunately, in 2025, so I'm not going to really make much comment on him. Sam Doherty, again, nearing the end of his career, I'd say. He's probably got this year as his last, unfortunately, but I've always admired the way he goes about his footy. Does he play the halfback role, and does he split it with Ollie Hollands, maybe 60-40 sort of operation? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Ollie Hollands will be given the keys to the Ferrari, which is that role. And, I think Sam Doherty might be used as a outside mid, perhaps, potentially on a wing. Who knows? And Ollie Hollands gets that sort of prestigious halfback role. Sam Walsh, as I was saying before, he got that back injury, interrupted preseason, which sucks for him. I had him in my team for AFL Fantasy, but up until that moment, I just like, can't risk it. So he's unfortunately not in my team at the moment. And then we've got Jacob Wiedering, who definitely had a couple of quad injuries last year, which was sort of interesting. Definitely not AFL Fantasy worthy, but he definitely can hold up the back line of the Blues. And I think that's really what they're missing, because now they've acquired Nick Hines from the GWS Giants, and I think he will definitely be able to come in and help out Jacob Wiedering now that Nick Newman's obviously out with an ACL, which is really sad, but I think he will definitely be able to come in and help there. The one peculiar player in this list is Jackson Binns. Now, Jackson Binns is a midfielder. He came sort of really into the limelight around that Eagles game last year at Optus Stadium, when the Blues had a lengthy list of players going down with injury. One of them was Charlie Curnow, funnily enough. But yeah, Jackson Binns, I think he's $394K on AFL Fantasy. And I think, if you want to take a risk and you want to pay a little bit more than the typical 230 or 300, 330 for a rookie, Jackson Binns might be your guy. Again, it's just one of those things. You take the risk, you don't know about the reward. The only danger with Jackson Binns is he could be one of those guys that just is a sub. And yeah, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. I mean, hopefully I'm just jumping the gun there and predicting wrong. But yeah, he's we shall see. So let's see what Jackson Binns does. But George Hewitt's definitely going to have to step up in the absence of Kennedy. He's gone to the Bulldogs, Kennedy. So George Hewitt, I see, could potentially be that inside mid-bull that obviously Kennedy just wasn't picked for. But we shall see what happens and how the swords fall. And also Charlie Curnow, he had a great year last year. Probably not the best of years, but he had a great year. I mean, let's be honest. And he helped Harry Mackay. I see that to continue. That's something to definitely watch there with him. Obviously, he's not my AFL Fantasy, but we'll see what happens there. Lewis Young's an up-and-coming key defender, and as well as Billy Wilson. Don't know much about Billy Wilson, to be honest, but I've heard good things from some training notes as well, so he'd be one to watch. Cooper Lord as well, the upcoming midfielder. You can't go wrong with Lordy. Chin Cotter, he's just one of those guys, rebounding defenders, just gets on and under, very good sort of operator. Sard is obviously going to have the other side of the halfback role, either between Ollie Hollands or Sam Doherty. And Ashton Moore, is it? Yeah, Moore is a forward player. Again, some people have added him to their forward line at AFL Fantasy. I'm just going to miss him for now. And then Matty Cottrell, he's just one of those utilities that comes in and out of the Carlton side when Vossi needs it. But overall, it's an interesting list, this one. They've certainly got some players here. Silvani, Williams, Fantasia. Who else do we got here? Cottrell to an extent, who I don't really know where they fit in this side. Obviously, Haynes has come in for a little bit of a plug, but, it's just one of those lists where they're not the youngest list anymore. They're sort of getting on there, and Doherty as well, who, you sort of want them to be pushing for more of a, they can't just be a team that plays finals a couple of years and then just drops off the face of the earth. These guys need to make a grand final. And I think the AFL knows that, and they're trying to play some cards and swing the competition in some form. But looking at this list and going through it now with you guys, I think Carlton Blues are going to miss the 8 this year. I think they're going to come 9th. That's my honest opinion. I think they're just going to miss the 8. But what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe. Who do you think is the up-and-coming Blues star? Who's one to watch? Who's one that you think the Blues should just move on? Comment down below. Love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.